If you're an offline racer, you know the struggle. You have 45 minutes to race, but you spend 30 of those minutes fiddling with AI sliders, loading screens, and car setups. If you want to actually spend your time racing, Automobilista 2 might be the most pick up and play sim on the market today. The real star of the show here is the AI. In most sims, the AI difficulty is a moving target. You're a god in Monza, but you get lapped at Spa on the same settings. AMS2 fixes that. The difficulty is remarkably consistent from track to track. I usually stick to 95, for example, on the slower classes and drop to 90 for the high-speed machinery like F1. And for me, this works. No more exiting to the menu and reloading because the AI found an extra 2 seconds of pace out of nowhere at a different track. These drivers feel alive. They aren't glued to a scripted line. They defend, they make mistakes, and they actually race you. You can tune the aggression to your liking, whether you want a professional or respectful grid, or absolute chaos. If you aren't a setup sweat and you're here for the experience, AMS2 is a visual masterclass. It's arguably the best optimized sim for VR. While other titles require a NASA supercomputer to look decent, AMS2 looks fantastic even on mid-range hardware. The car list is massive, covering almost every era of motorsport, and while the basic track list has been a bit of a weakness in the past, the modding community is finally cracking the code to bringing in new tracks and cars that expand the game's lifespan significantly. Now we have to address the current downside. AMS2 currently lacks a true career mode. Ryza Studios has been teasing a formal career mode for a long time, and honestly, if they nail it, this could easily become the undisputed greatest offline sim. But until then, the custom championship tool is your best friend. Because the AI is so reliable, building your own season feels rewarding rather than a chore. Looking back at the mountain of content Ryza dropped in 2025, even up to the end of December, the momentum hasn't slowed down. If 2026 is anything like last year, the constant stream of DLC and free updates will keep this game fresh for years. It's polished, beautiful, and a deeply respectful tribute to motorsports that respects your time as a player. If Automobilista 2 is about getting into a race quickly, Assetto Corsa is about racing anything, anywhere. It's the ultimate live out your dreams simulator. Want to take a 90s Japanese street legend down a mountain pass in the rain? Or maybe race a modern hybrid F1 car around a laser scan track that isn't in any other game? In AC, the answer is always yes. Out of the box, the game shows its age. It was released over a decade ago after all, but with mods like Content Manager, Custom Shaders Patch, Soul, and Pure, this game has undergone a total transformation. Graphically, it's become spectacular. We're talking about lighting and weather effects that can rival modern AAA titles. And in VR, it runs so well. While it might not be as buttery smooth as games like AMS2, it's still one of the best VR experiences you can have, especially given the scale of some of the environments you can explore. When it comes to offline racing, the AI in Assetto Corsa is a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde situation. If you stick to the curated cars and tracks that Kunos the developer built, the AI is surprisingly solid. They battle fairly, they don't just dive bomb or rear end you, and there's a genuine sense of a back and forth. But once you step into modded territory, things get weird. Depending on how the mod was made, you might find AI cars that refuse to leave the starting line, or that simply drive off into the forest. It's not necessarily that they're aggressive, it's that they're sometimes just lost. Unlike AMS2, Assetto Corsa actually has a built-in career structure, though it's more of a series of scenarios than a narrative journey. You start with some entry-level road cars, you work your way up to GT3s, open-wheelers, and there's the challenge mode, where you have a classic bronze, silver, and gold achievement system. For anyone who feels like they aren't good at sim racing yet, maybe that's why you even race offline in the first place, this is perfect. It provides a concrete checklist to help you improve. You can start on easy to learn the lines and slowly crank it up to hard as your lap times drop. It's the ultimate training ground. Assetto Corsa isn't just a game, it's a platform, and if you're willing to spend a little time in the menus and mod folders, you're rewarded with the most diverse offline experience in the world. It's the game that keeps on giving long after you've finished that career checklist.
Now, these next group of games are a little more controversial. When I was a hardcore sim racer, I really didn't pay attention to these games very much, but now that I don't have a lot of time and I'm looking for offline experiences, I've really grown to appreciate these games, and I even think some of them are more enjoyable than some of the more hardcore sim racing games. They respect your time, and they're easy to pick up and play and experience a lot in a short amount of time offline. I'm talking about the Simcade games.
If you grew up with the original Gran Turismo games, you know that it isn't just about the racing, it's about the journey. Unlike most hardcore sims where every car is unlocked from day one, GT7 makes you work for it. There's a genuine sense of rewarding progression as you unlock tracks, earn licenses, and finally save up enough credits for that legendary car you've been eyeing. The biggest advantage of GT7 for an offline player is actually something that people view as negative most of the time, but in this instance, it's a positive, and it's that it's a PlayStation exclusive, which means that there's zero friction. You don't have to worry about driver updates, Windows settings, or hardware bottlenecks. Whether it's a massive grid at the Nürburgring or a rainy night at Spa, it just works every single time you boot it up. And on PSVR 2, it's arguably the gold standard because it's been built specifically for the PS5. The optimization is flawless. It's smooth, sharp, and provides a level of cockpit immersion that is hard to beat, even on a high-end PC. For years, the Achilles heel of Gran Turismo was the AI. They were trains on tracks that didn't really race you. But that changed late in 2025 with the release of the Power Pack DLC. The Sophie 3.0 difference is huge. This isn't just a minor tweak, it's a total overhaul. For about $30, the Power Pack introduces 50 new events where you actually practice and qualify, and the AI drivers will attack, defend, and even make human-like mistakes. Gone are the days of just passing slow-moving obstacles. Now you're in genuine dogfights from green flag to the finish line. It's as engaging as Automobilista 2 or Assetto Corsa, but with that polished Gran Turismo sheen. Also, GT7 is the only game that truly lets you live the project car fantasy. You can buy a stock road car, swap the engine, like putting a Hellcat motor in a Jeep or a 4-rotor in a RX-7, and tweak every suspension component. It feels like you actually own these cars. For an offline player, spending an hour in the GT Auto Shop just building a sleeper for track days is half the fun. We have to be honest though, if you're looking for high-stakes strategy and terminal damage, this isn't it. There's no complex vehicle damage or high-level pit strategy here. But that could be a good thing, because if you get hit, make a mistake, run off the track, your race isn't over, you'll just lose a few spots. Which makes this ideal as the 30-minute window game. You can jump in, have a high-intensity battle against Sophie 3.0, and feel like you've accomplished something without the frustration of a single tap ending your entire session. If you want to feel like a driver living through an entire season, not just someone doing a series of random races, the F1 series is unparalleled. While other sims focus on the physics of a single corner, F1 25 and its predecessors focuses on the metagame. It's the only title that truly captures the high-stakes atmosphere and technical drama of a full Formula One season. The secret sauce of the F1 offline experience is the research and development system. You aren't just upgrading your car in a vacuum, the AI teams are making their own strategic choices alongside you. Do you dump all your points into a massive engine upgrade for Monza, or play the long game with chassis stability? One season Red Bull might be the team to beat. The next, a midfield battle could turn into a title fight because Mercedes nailed their aero development. This constant arms race makes every season feel different and keeps the game addictive after you mastered the tracks. While other games often have AI that follow a rigid one-size-fits-all pit strategy, F125 actually tries to outsmart you. You'll see the AI split strategies, some going for an aggressive two-stop on softs, while others try to nurse a set of hards to the end. Sure, they'll occasionally make quote-unquote Ferrari-style questionable calls, but honestly, that just adds to the realism. It makes the world feel reactive and unpredictable. But now for the honesty. The on-track AI isn't the most alive. They tend to be train-like, sticking stubbornly to the racing line. They aren't as aggressive as drivers in Automobilista 2, and once you make a move stick, they don't always fight back with the same intensity. It gets the job done, but you won't find the same personality here as you do in other sims. The biggest hurdle for offline players in F125 is the difficulty variance. It's incredibly frustrating to be at a 90 difficulty on one track and have a perfect battle, and then go to the next track and you realize you need to crank it up to 110 just to stay in the midfield. You'll find yourself using a difficulty calculator or spending a lot of time in one-shot qualifying just to find a competitive setting for each race. It's a time sink that keeps the game from being truly pick up and play. But despite the AI quirks and menu fiddling, the F1 atmosphere is unbeatable. No other game gives you the official liveries, the correct engine notes, the real driver faces, and even the TV-style commentary. If you want to live the F1 fantasy from the first practice session to the final podium, this is, and likely always will be, the gold standard for career mode immersion. If F125 is the peak of high-tech global racing, NASCAR 25 is its scrappy door-to-door American counterpart. It shares a lot of DNA with the F1 series, but it trades the glitz and glamour for a more grounded, working man approach to a career mode. The career mode here is all about the journey. You don't start in a multi-million-dollar motorhome. You start in a garage that looks more like a converted gas station, working your way up through ARCA, trucks, and Xfinity before hitting the Cup Series. While it lacks the R&D war where other teams evolve alongside you, it still offers a deeply satisfying sense of growth. Unlike F1, where the whole grid shifts in performance, the challenge in NASCAR 25 is purely about you, building your team, managing your shop, and earning your place among the legends. It's simpler than F1, but for a NASCAR fan, that start from nothing loop is incredibly solid. Oval racing is notoriously difficult for AI to get right. In many sims, they either follow a single file like a train, or turn into a wrecking ball. NASCAR 25 finally delivers AI that understands how to race on an oval. They'll run 3 wide, they'll bump draft, and they'll actually fight you for the line without just dumping you into the wall. They feel less like robots and more like real drivers who might miss a gear or wash up the track, creating those big save moments that make for legendary finishes. Built on a foundation that pulls from iRacing's expertise, the handling model hits a sweet spot. You can really feel the weight of these beasts, the way the car leans into the banking, and the vibration as you scrape the wall make it feel like you're actually wrestling a stock car. And just like GT7, this is a set it and forget it experience. It runs smoothly on console without the need for constant PC troubleshooting, making it perfect for a quick session after work. NASCAR 25 might not have the technical complexity of F1's R&D and visual polish of Automobilista 2, but it fills a massive hole for offline players. It respects the heritage of the sport and gives you a reliable, fun, and fiercely competitive way to chase for a championship from your couch. It's the best NASCAR game we've had in a decade, and that alone makes it worth the entry price.
Now, what really excites me are the possibilities that 2026 holds. These games aren't quite there yet, but they have a lot of potential to be amazing offline experiences.
If you want to talk about raw, visceral immersion, we have to talk about Le Mans Ultimate. There's an intangible thrill to driving here that is hard to find elsewhere. It's a combination of a top-tier handling model, world-class sound design, and a graphics engine that makes you feel the heat rising off the asphalt. When you're in the cockpit of a hypercar at 3 a.m. in the rain, the game is genuinely spectacular. The good news for offline racers is that the AI in LMU is already in a great place. They don't feel like robots on rails. They're fun to battle, they respect your space, and they actually make you feel like you're in a real FIA WEC event. Because the game is so hyper-focused too on just WEC events, the AI behavior is tuned specifically for multi-class endurance racing, which is one of the hardest things for a lot of sims to get right. The elephant in the room has always been the lack of a career mode. For a long time, LMU was and still is a series of single race weekends. However, Studio 397 has confirmed that the fleshed out career mode is the major target for 2026. Once that structure is added, LMU shifts from a tech demo of great driving to a must-own offline experience. Imagine the F1 style season progression, but with the grit and strategy of the 24 hours of Le Mans. We have to address, though, the limited content. This isn't Assetto Corsa. You aren't gonna find 500 cars and tracks here. You are strictly limited to the WEC and ELMS rosters. If you're bored of racing the same hypercars and GT3s on the same 8 or 9 tracks, this might feel restrictive. That lack of variety, though, I think is actually a strength. Because the team only has a few cars to worry about, they can hyper-focus. Every car feels distinct, every track is perfectly optimized, and the physics are dialed in with a level of precision you just don't get in a jack-of-all-trades simulator. Whether LMU is for you comes down to a simple question. Do you want 1,000 okay experiences or one perfect one? If you're a fan of modern endurance racing, LMU is becoming a spectacular offline choice. And once that career mode drops later this year, it might just be the most immersive way to spend time in your sim rig. Out of all the games so far, this next game so far is the one that is definitely the most work in progress. And because of that, I haven't jumped into it personally yet. I'm waiting for that 1.0 polish before I commit. But as an offline racer, you need to have this on your radar. And I'm talking about Assetto Corsa Evo. Why should you be hyped for this? Because it appears to be aiming for the holy grail of sim racing. The classic Gran Turismo career mode, but with legitimate top-tier sim physics. We're talking about an actual in-game economy, starting with a modest budget, buying your first road car, and working your way through the ranks. Early reports from the 2025 updates show a license-based system similar to GT's license test. For an offline player, that structure is exactly what's been missing from the sandbox style of the original Assetto Corsa. And it's not just about the racing, it's about the lifestyle of driving. Kunos has been working on a massive free roam map of the roads surrounding the Nürburgring. This isn't just a gimmick. It's a place to actually test the cars you bought and customized in your career, adding a layer of immersion we haven't seen in a hardcore sim before. From interior trims to physical engine parts, the level of personalization here is aiming to rival that project car feel of GT7, but with a much more sophisticated physics engine under the hood. Again, I'm holding off until the full version is ready, because I want to fully experience the career mode instead of something half-baked. The good news is that by the time we hit the full 1.0 release, we could be looking at the most complete offline sim ever made. It's taking the best parts of Gran Turismo's progression and mixing it with the industry-leading realism that Assetto Corsa's name is known for. Now, the last game I want to talk about is a real dark horse. It could be controversial, and I'm not saying that this game will be a success, but if everything lines up right, it potentially could be the best offline sim racing experience of 2026. I'm talking about Project Motor Racing. Not long ago, I made a video about Project Cars 2, and it resonated with so many of you who still love the game's deep offline career mode. PMR is clearly cut from that same cloth. It's trying to capture that same magic, that feeling of real-life racing that made Project Cars 2 a staple for so many of us. Now, let's be real, if you've looked at the internet lately, you know that the launch has been anything but smooth. It's easy to criticize the game right now for being overambitious or for its high early access price, but beneath the bugs and the controversy, there, I think, is a team that's trying to push the boundaries of what an offline career mode can actually be. What I truly appreciate about Project Motor Racing is that they aren't playing it safe. This is a game where vehicle damage actually matters in the career. You can't just dive bomb every corner and expect to have a functioning car for the next race unless you pay for it. The way your career advances and the path you choose to take feels meaningful. They're trying to innovate in an area where many sims have been stagnant for a decade. The developers have been vocal about listening to feedback. They've already committed to a complete overhaul of career mode based on what the community is saying. If Project Motor Racing can turn it around, if they can take this ambitious framework and polish it into a hit over the next year, it's gonna be something that forces every other sim racing company to step up their game. When developers see that players respond to deep immersive career modes, the whole genre wins. Look, I'm not telling you to go out and spend your money on it today. Hold the developers accountable, stay critical, and let the game prove itself, but don't look away just yet. If everything falls into place, this could move the entire offline sim racing genre forward. It's a gamble, but for the sake of the single player experience, I'm rooting for it to succeed.